Hello guys and welcome back to our Satisfactory Update 7 Let's Play with Blueprints, where we started off with the Blueprint Designer, and this save is available over on satisfactorytips.com should you wish to play around with it. But we did notice some things. Having built this starter factory, we realized that having blueprints early on didn't really help, because though we were able to spam out foundations, we just didn't have enough resources being produced in order to make use of the blueprints, or for that matter, enough power. Thankfully though, with these blueprints we were able to set up a basic power plant and even get our first modular factory blueprint set up. And this is the smelters, which we're going to be getting running today, along with a few others. Hopefully the intention is to get to steel, because we need that to really start progressing and tearing down all of these. So the first thing that we're going to be doing today is unlocking basic steel production. Now we already have the rotors and the concrete and the wire produced. We don't need to worry about that. However, the modular frames we are going to have to produce, and we will automate these later on, but right now we're going to just handcraft them all, because I'm dying to get my hands on the Logistics Mark III, and the reason for that is we're going to be able to overclock all of our miners and get extra resources to our base. So let's get these placed in here, and I need to start handcrafting. It would help if I had the right resources on me though. Yeah, this isn't gonna take long, just a couple of minutes.
2 hours later.
But I guess that does give us the opportunity to talk about our music. So guys, if you haven't listened to it already, the music currently on is our own music that we helped produce, and it is copyright free. So if you're a content creator, you can use it for yourself in your own content. With that though, you can go check that on Spotify. The link is in the description below, or also on things like YouTube Music or Apple. But we are sending off Steel. This is the start. Oh yes. Next it will be Logistics Mark III, and then we'll have all of the resources that we need to really get this thing going. Whilst we're waiting to unlock all of the basic steel and stuff, we are going to have to start reworking this, and that means getting some of the resources routed to the smelters, including the copper, which is going to be the next section of the blueprint that we're going to place. We need to place one of those smelters just about here. Okay, we'll make sure that's on no, not quite. There we go. Make sure that's the right way around. Otherwise, we'll have to delete everything, which I really do not want to do. And we can replace down or remove these walls, I should say, just for the time being. From here, we are going to want to paint this something that reminds us of copper. And I'm thinking color a bit like this, maybe a bit more blue. And we'll do all of these. We'll also do the smelters above. And with that done, we're also going to paint the railings just the white and orange color. I think that's just going to work really nicely with it. And I'd like to do that on both sides. Sweet, now that's the smelters section done. Next we need to work on a constructor blueprint, so let's do that now. I am a little concerned that everything's going to look quite similar, so we need to find a way to bring similarities to the build, but we'll do that once we've set up the basic blueprints. I also fully anticipate that this will be the steel section, so we'll have the foundries directly next to the iron smelters as well, so we're going to have to remove all of this eventually. In order to do the constructor blueprint, what I've done is pasted the smelter blueprint into the blueprint designer, and we're going to remove all of the sections that we don't need. That means the smelters, the pillars that we're not using, though we will keep the sections for the power, because that's where we're going to run the power in the build, and we'll also redo the ground floor as well. As you can see here, we've got the 8 smelters. They're going to be replaced with the 4 constructors. We're going to, as I mentioned, keep the power the same, keep the outer walls the same, and also the load floor the same, and also keep the walkway. And we're going to build up this theme throughout our save, and then we're going to add the detail to the individual parts after we've got the whole system up and running. And this is it. So we had to remove the pillars, but I'm really happy with how clean this looks. If we look look below, we've done a slight bit of a change there. The idea of this was knowing that the smelters are all merging in the middle, we will merge directly onto the constructors line, which will then split between them. And this also gives us a bit more customizability, because with both of these sections running, we would be able to either merge them all together, or we could separate them to two separate sections. That's the joy of already having them separated. I'll also mention that this blueprint, along with all the others that we cover in this series, will be over on our Patreon page. If you do want to support us, you can see how this is being produced at the moment, so you can do it yourself. But if you want to save yourself a little bit of time and energy, you can support the channel and you'll get these for free, along with the saves, such as this one that we're currently working on. And at this point, we are ready to... Oh, I just realized I'm not going to be able to see the inputs and outputs from this side. Is it this way or that way? Okay, we're going to drop down, and then we get to place 3 lines of constructors. There's one. We'll do the next one here, and the other one just here for the copper, like so. I was also asked why I didn't use mods to play with the blueprints early, and that's a good question, but it's because I wanted to make the save available to anyone who wants it, without having those pesky messages that come up and say you're about to play the game without this mod installed. So that's the reason why we didn't run it through the mods, just so that you don't have to cope with annoying messages like that. But we now have 3 rows of constructors. We can get these set up, and all we need to do is run the lines between them, like so, and it's ready to go. I do need to do some coloring though upstairs, painting these to the right material color. Before we do that, we do need to start looking at how we can bring the resources in without it looking a bit weird. At the moment, it just, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be a block factory, just a box factory, and we don't want that. So we're going to work on a little blueprint for an entrance for the resources, and then afterwards we will decorate it once this thing's running. And I also want a little bit of space for the logistics between the smelters and that entrance. So we'll probably give ourselves like 2 foundations deep of space between the smelters and the blueprint that we're going to use next. So let's go and build it, I guess. Before we work on this entrance though, the first thing that I want to do is actually place another one of these directly in, well, behind, I guess you would say, the other one. And the reason for this is it's going to make it much easier for us to align things, but we have to make sure they are aligned, which they are. Fantastic. At this point, we do have 2 sets of smelters here, and my idea is to still run with the lines for the cables. So we're going to strip the rest of the build of everything other than the foundations and the flooring and the walls, and specifically that cable run. And then after that, we can focus on decorating it a bit so that we can focus on bringing the resources in. This is, however, going to become quite tiresome if I have to do this for every blueprint. So I may build it so that it's a little easier to repeat in the future. For this, we are going to want some doorways for the resources to come through. I don't really want to use conveyor walls, but firstly because they're expensive, but they also only allow 3 items in at most. So by having a open gate hole, this should give us a bit more space to play around with. And here's the empty section. We're going to place these gate holes both on the outer side, but also the front side of the build. And I think we're going to change this to the basic wall and run that all the way up as a flat 1 meter one. The reason why I'm using the 1 meter one and not the large one is just because I prefer the general look and feel of this short wall versus the textures of the large one. As you can see, it's slightly different. I'll probably color this in white just as an entry point so that it stands out. I think that'll look quite nice. Beautiful. And this will be one of the few times that we're actually allowed to use white in the factory. The other thing that I want to do is maybe claw back these slightly so that we can have a walkway up to the center point. And then other thing would be to have some kind of pillar maybe have the concrete pillars going up to the top and then bringing them across so there's some kind of visual entrance. I'll show you once I finish this. And here's the factory entrance. It's very simple. We've just done a basic border and then an entrance point. Don't mind the orange staircase there, that will be removed. The next thing that we need to do with this though is just place this over there. Knowing that I want the 2 deep space, we're going to place this 2-meter foundation. 1, 2, we can do it over here actually. Just here. Then we're going to delete these 2, replace the 2 that we've just placed in blueprint mode, remove this grid like that, and then we can just grab our factory entrance. And in theory, this will work. We will place this. I think I've messed this up. Not quite sure how as well. Can we do it from this side? No, really does not like. Okay, we're going to try this from the other side. This is infuriating. I just can't get the spot. Wait, is that it? No, I'm removing it. Let's try it this time. No. Oh my goodness me, this is so infuriating. Okay, we'll try it again. I'm gonna delete everything at this point. Don't even know where the center is anymore. That was the position as well. That was the position. If I just move one slight spot, then this spot. Come on. There we go. We've got it. Finally. Okay, perfect. This is where the resources are going to come in and head up into here. They will then be split off on the ground floor, and we'll have a way of accessing the ground floor from here, as well as an upper floor, which will go across all of these. That sounds like a plan. Okay, that is working, finally. At this point, we need to delete a bit of the starter factory, but before we do that, we need to bring in coal to start on steel production. And whilst I work out what we're doing with the foundries here in this blueprint, I thought we'd set up a very basic system just to get some steel beams and steel pipes connected. This is actually one of the layouts in our super efficient build guide, just a very basic system that anyone can do as soon as they unlock steel. So do check out that guide if you are interested in knowing more about steel alts, the best ones to use, and also how to get steel running in a really simple layout. But we're going to head over to the coal to get that sent to here. As you can see here, originally I planned on taking the bus all the way up the steep incline in this area. But working a conveyor bus up a steep incline is pretty difficult and tends to look pretty shoddy. So what I've actually decided to do is use this waterfall to bring the items up. At the moment there's nothing on it, but there is some iron over here that I'd like to take, and some limestone just below here somewhere. I think it's there. And we could probably take that copper eventually as well. But the most important thing is going to be obviously the coal, which we're going to have to grab from this area here. Which of course means we're going to have to get our chainsaw out. But the bus is going to be quite boring to build, so I'm going to skip along a bit once that's done. And here we are. We've got this running under the little bridge that we've set up so that we can go to power, and then this is running all the way along. I don't know why I brought the conveyors over to here knowing that the resources are up there, but we'll play around with them in a little bit. As you can see, this runs all the way to our start area. The only thing that I do need to do at some point is add some supports to this, because at the moment it's looking a touch bare, and that is all being brought to this hub area, which I will probably eventually turn into more of a nexus for logistics, so that everything kind of swarms in here and gets organized before being sent on. But the next thing that we need to do is place down the steel foundries so that the coal has a place to go to. The foundry system, similar to the smelters, is built the exact same way. We have the power above and then the 6 foundries facing into the actual center. And then following our usual practice, we have the merger down the middle, which will send the items to the constructors. And then we have the splitters on the outside, but we're not using the smart splitters this time, simply because if one line's more saturated than the other, it's not going to work properly. I've also kept a little space clear between the foundry and the roof. I don't know what we're going to do about that yet, but we'll figure out something. And we have added those little barriers along the top just for some added decoration. Though the lods are looking a bit odd, that better not be permanent. That better not be permanent. I swear, if it stays like this, I'll be so annoyed. I think he'll be fine once we place it, but that's something for us to be aware of. And if that does stay like that, maybe we'll just get rid of it. The first thing that we're going to be doing before we place that, though, is getting rid of all of the factory in this area. Oh, we're just gonna delete a load of this. Once this is all clear, we'll be able to break down this wall. In fact, we can do that now. And then from here, we will place the steel foundry. Let's place that just there. And oh, it's so beautiful. Maybe we'll bring the resources in here as well, actually, so that we're not having to send everything through there. In the end, I did opt to have the coal and iron brought in through that lower corner. And we also have added the walkways across the top. There's obviously so much more detail that needs to be done, but I like the touch with the walkways because that means that we can also hide all of the... Of course, there's no power lines here. Down here. And then use this as a place to observe the actual factory. We've given the top section this dark grey walkway, and then the middle floor we have the white and orange, and then we have the bottom floor, which is, well, you can see here, I haven't changed it yet. It's the original orange one. I decided it wouldn't be good to have the constructors next to one another, so I've done taking that separate section that we had originally. For the opening, we've produced this open space, which gives us, firstly, a bit of space should we want to place some more foundries. We can just replace this section. And then it also means that we have space before going on to a production line, which means we'll be able to add some kind of entrance, like some kind of detail to split it up and to make it feel less like a single blueprint that's been repeated and more like different sections which have the same manufacturing lines but have their own decoration within them, and we've done that all the way along. So we've doubled up all of the smelters. This is because each smelter section produces 240, and so 2 lots will be 480, which is the Mark IV lines, right? Or is that 460? I don't even know at this point. Anyway, we have room for scaling, so this will just move along. We have all of this for logistics underneath, and then we'll have our next rows of constructors. The next issue, though, is that now that we're producing the steel beams, we can upgrade to Mark III conveyors, but we don't have any AI limiters in order to build more constructor lines, so we need to get them automated. Oh, I don't know why I'm doing that. That was weird. That was really weird. I swear. I'm sorry, guys. That wasn't an editing effect. That was just the game being weird. We need to automate the AI limiters, which means I need to get that Caterium all the way over there, behind here, all the way to here. And that also means that we'll need another smelting section, which I've already placed there, followed by, I guess, a constructor system over here. But, well, we've got to do that first. I've got the miner placed. We're going to have the power run along here, along this wonderful little bus that we've got going. I haven't finished this yet. I just wanted to show you this. And then from here, we're curving it round to the concrete section. And from the concrete, we will get it onto the base foundations. And with the bus done, now all we need to do is connect that up and wait for the miner to start working. That's right. Give me all of the Caterium. We're going to need that for those AI limiters. So here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that Caterium was actually implemented into the game based or named after the owner of Fixit, the CEO, Katrina Parks? So that's why it's called Caterium and, well, I guess not gold. And that's the smelters turning on. They're going to be taking all the Caterium ingots along to here, which then go along to the left to be produced into quickwire. So the next thing that we need to do is to work on the AI limiters and also work on the copper, because we need copper sheets to get over to here as well. But I will say I'm loving the use of the color here, which is something that I never thought I would say, seeing as I tend to prefer signs, you know, than coloring my base in. I feel like I'm a child crayoning the whole world in, but that's not the case. It looks really good having the separate colors for the separate items. Just gonna see what we can do with it, how we can separate it more and use use more colors when it comes to the detailing. First, I'm going to do the constructors. So we only need to repeat the constructor blueprint like the one that we have down there. So we're actually going to do the iron and the copper as well as a bit more steel all at once. So I'm just going to add them now, like so. We haven't connected the power up. That's one thing that I do need to do, and that's going to take me 30 seconds. But the next thing that I want to do is work on the assemblers, which means we're going to have to sort out the blueprint. And this is going to be the blueprint that we're going to be using. I will be covering this in the next episode, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. But we're going to place this down and then do the logistics so that we can finish this off. And there we are. I wish there was a way that we could like hold down control to lock the blueprint in place so that we can have a look at it before we place it. But we have that now done, and we will run these straight into the assemblers, and then we'll have all of the copper, running along here into, well, into this line actually. And that's exactly what we've done here. We have the copper sheets running along here, then turning right where they go onto this section and drop down and run straight into the assemblers over there. The last thing to do at this point is to connect it all up. However, we're not going to do that in case it all shuts down. We'll find out if that's the case in the next episode. But guys, we are going to leave it there. Special thanks, of course, does go to all of our amazing supporters, most notably our Solarclips patrons, James Owen, Fireflesh, Trebor, and Beowulf, as well as our Lunars, the Calamity, Ben, Star, Shoku, the MN Wolf, and that dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Morgan. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.